is the amazing Kerri, writer extraordinaire, leader of the Fayari. Hello, Kerri.
Hello.
And over at our DMs table, we have Alexander and AJ. Hello. Thank you all so much for joining us on this very special episode of Goo Morning, Zyathé. We started the stream with Alexander, or what am I saying? With Martin Schroer. Martin Schroer, who wrote that beautiful anthem for Black Bonnie. That is available for purchasing at D20 Sounds. And it's actually a 9.5-minute song. It is absolutely gorgeous if you want to set the scene. We will also be premiering it on YouTube at 11 o'clock. So if you want to re-listen to it, it'll be available on YouTube. What did you guys all think of Black Bonnie's anthem?
I think it's like essence of pirate distilled and turned into the finest grog.
Wow, essence. Listen to her. She's such a writer. The essence of a pirate.
I can't help it. I have to go a little bit extra.
I love it. How about you guys? What do you guys think?
Maybe we want to watch the Pirates of the Caribbean movie. What about you, AJ?
Oh, yeah. And it makes me excited to, do an adventure down in the Blue Shine Archipelago someday. It'd be a lot of fun.
Kind of makes me want to break out Ghost of Salt Marsh again,
Right.
Yeah, go do some swashbuckling.
Yeah. Well, Alphinius is currently in... I had a question in the chat. Is Alphinius going to appear in the chat? He is currently selling at... I feel like I'm very loud. Sorry. You guys let me know how my audio mix is. I feel like I'm very loud. Let me know. But yeah, Alphinius is currently selling in SuperCon. So he is not going to be able to join us this morning. However, I do have social media and some pictures of him to show. There's that. I wanted him to send me a video clip, but he was too tired after last night. So anyway, okay, so let's go ahead and get started on social media. Hopefully the four of us will make up for the charisma of Alphinius, and we have some really good stuff in store. Kerri, do you want to tell them about what we have coming with Magicka?
Yes, we are going to take a tour through Magicka, starting with the first chapter and just working our way through, showing different spreads and just talking a little bit about those.
Awesome. Yeah, it's going to be a really good time. So thanks for hanging out with us this morning. It occurs to me that my social media spread is just going to be on Kerri the entire time. I'm so sorry, Kerri.
Why? You already put me in this chair and now all the focus is on me.
I know. I'm sorry. It occurred to me that my social media layout is normally it's Alphinius looking at social media and you're in Alphinius' chair. So it's going to be what it's going to be. So anyway, let's go ahead and start by showing some pictures of Alphinius. So this is... Nope, that's the wrong one. This is him at SuperCon, which is in South Dakota. So if you're in the area, definitely go check him out. He's there with Ms. Goo. This is him with Baymax.
Very cool.
Yeah, I know. I was like, yes, please. Okay, and then this is adorable. Ms. Goo is out there with him. So it is literally just Alphinius and Ms. Goo out in Ms. Goo.
She doesn't usually do conventions.
No, she doesn't. And she's the one who's running all the transactions, and she's texting me I cannot keep up with him. I know, I'm sorry. But she's doing a great job. Anyway, so we have some really cool things to show you from the den from this last week. So Alexander, we're going to just hear your voice. It's going to be on Kerri, but we're going to hear your voice. Can you tell us a little bit about what is going on in this picture? No,
not yet. I won't.
Oh.
I refuse.
Okay, this is a sneak peek of what is coming soon to gooeycube.com. It is a revamp of the entire website and a wonderful shopping experience.
It's going to be fantastic.
Yeah, it is going to be fantastic. I'm really excited to see.
We're working hard on it. It's going to be, great. It's going to be definitely revolutionary compared to what we had previously.
Awesome. Yeah, it's going to be absolutely fantastic. Next up, we have from our friend Riley, who works with Alexander. He's put together this amazing hoodie, and he put up some previews of it in the den. It's going to come in a few different styles. We're working on getting a zip-up version of it and some different art on the back. But he's we're basically looking at taking pre-orders for this hoodie. You want to talk a little bit about the hoodie?
Yeah, so we talked over a couple of the designs. It's mostly Riley's work. but he did have some assistance from Stephen in generating some of the art, and it's sort of based off of metal, like sweatshirts you get at a metal concert. But we're putting them up, kind of seeing what the interest is, and then looking at ordering them. It's going to be great.
What do you think, Kerri? Are you going to get one?
Oh yeah, I'm gonna get the most metal design. Of course.
The most metal design. Rock and roll. By the way, Kerri. Sorry. I was going to say about your hair, because you just dyed your hair. So I just combined hair and Kerri together. Your hair looks great. But speaking of Harry, I actually have some like cool stuff from Harry from this week. Basically, he did a whole miniature of our friend AJ, who is here in studio with us. Yeah, this is AJ's portrait with like the... Are you playing a druid in this? Or what is your druid? Yeah, so he's got the mushrooms on the shoulders, and Harry went ahead and did a mini for AJ. Where he's like balancing and like,
I didn't know I had such good balance.
I mean, maybe not you, but maybe your character.
I suppose.
Yeah. So yeah, no, it looks incredible. And then this is from a few weeks ago, but we skipped social media last week. Harry did this adorable little like Gooey Cube soldier. I don't even know what this is. All I know is I want to adopt it. So what do you think, Kerri?
Can I look on your screen?
Oh, sorry. Oh, I see what's happening here.
Yeah,
So we were having some like power issues in the office, and so the connection between my screen and the TV that they are viewing stuff on keeps flicking in and out. So that is why there is this delayed, wonderful reaction.
So fun. It's really cute.
Isn't it though? Yeah.
It's really cute.
It is super adorable. And then on top of that, let's see. Oh, this was posted by Scott this morning. This is an incredible setup for Halloween, spooky season. You'll see dice with the scary monster, and we love, love, love what Scott does with his dice pictures. I'm sorry, we are being plagued by like tech issues in the... My screen is like flicking off and on like every 6 seconds. So if we go out, it's because...
Ours is pretty rough.
Yeah.
I couldn't see the website.
I'm so sorry. Yeah, this isn't normally like this. I don't know what exactly has happened. Maybe Alphinius being gone has caused the like curse of the I don't know, the studio to be cursed. Anyway, lastly, we have from Paul this amazing setup. Like he's been posting some really amazing Dwarven Forge setups, and he recently posted this one, and on top of that posted a video of his family playing with this, which was amazing. So yeah, absolutely. We have some good stuff. Okay, so we're also going to announce, I have one more thing. So Alphinius posted this incredible new art of the Gloomport, and it's like the reverse view that we normally see. So it's like looking at the mouth from inside. And David Rice took this and did a really fun animation with it. So I'm going to go ahead and play that right now. 1 second. It's about 10 seconds.
There is nothing can console me.
Yeah, I love that.
My child is sailing.
That's pretty great.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
You
that's
always
really
appreciate
cool.
Some bats.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Hi, Kerri again.
Hello.
How's it going? Sorry. And you're like a little off to the side because I didn't arrange this correctly like beforehand, because I totally forgot that we had all these like weird formats. Okay, so yeah, that was awesome, David. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. We're going to go ahead and talk about the winner of the hat competition. We had a judge's choice. You can ask these guys, like, it was a totally, like, me and Alphinius didn't even vote on this. Our winner, before I do the winner, I want to give a shout out to David here, because David sent me this photo. David sent me this. I know, and I totally missed the email. But not only did he send me this, he sent me a whole story. Okay, so he says, one with a hat, and then he goes, one in solidarity with Alphinius Goo, and a semi-visible hat. And I totally missed this email before last week, so we're also going to send David something because he wasn't entered into the drawing, and he had totally sent it in on time, and I'm really sorry, David. But on top of that, he has like his rooster, which we all know is like, he is the familiar of this rooster. So David, you were so clever, and I loved what you did here, and I deeply apologize for missing that email last week. But with that said, we are going to show the winner of the hat competition. First off, I'll show the runner-up, who is also going to get something. Our runner-up is Amber with her amazing Elphaba costume. And then nextly, I don't know, normally Alphinius is the one who's like, anyway, is Rob, one with this photo. And now Rob did send me 140 hats, as you guys saw last week. But I picked one. I picked my favorite one out of all of his pictures, and this was voted on by 4 dudes at the office who, I think deeply appreciated the hat. So,
It's quite the hat.
It was quite the hat. Yes, and Noah, who voted on it, he's one of our graphic designers, said that he gave his Rob's eyes 10 out of 10. And just, overall pose and general sex appeal, 10 out of 10 as well. So, yes.
Thank you for sharing that.
That is what Noah said in the email. So, yes. So, thank you so much, Rob. You totally rocked it with this contest, and you will be getting a Great Gooey Grognard shirt.
Which I'm currently wearing.
Oh, indeed. Here, we'll cut back over to you. Just give me a second. Okay. There you go. Hello, guys.
Here we are.
Yes. So we are working on getting these Great Gooey Grognard shirts on our website. Alexander, let's talk about that next week. And yeah, absolutely. Okay, so next up, we are going to dive into Magicka. So Kerri, you have sent me some awesome spreads. But since I don't want to be like cut on you the entire time, I'll show the spread and then we'll have like a little discussion about what you wanted to talk about with that. So let's go ahead and start with this first one. So we're gonna show, are these in order? Are these the order that you sent them in? I think so. Is this the first?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. Okay, so yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, we have to start at the very beginning, of course, with the streams of design theories, which kind of delves more into what's covered in Cyclo 1, Weirded World. Weirded World. In the magic section of that book, we go a lot deeper and talk about sort of like, what kind of magic can be casted and everything, like how each class casts magic and stuff like that. And of course, we have this wonderful essay here to start off with, which, AJ, that's yours, right?
Yes, indeed.
Yeah, you want to talk about that?
From Moldy Mortar in there. Yeah, just basically, I mean, I'm sure most watchers are aware of how, intertwined the Zyathé is into everything in Zyathé. And basically just detailing how that, forms everything in the world from what you think of as, spells and crazy things to just the mundane reality of Zyathé is suffused with magic, so.
Okay. Oh, sorry, I'm trying to fix our audio. Hold on. Fix that. All right, sorry. Okay, so I 100% just missed everything you just said. I'm sorry, I was trying to fix the audio.
That's okay.
So are we ready to move on to the next slide?
Yeah.
Kerri, did you want to bounce back? Yeah, so, okay. Hold on, let's get this back. Okay, so next slide. My computer keeps flicking off and on. I'm so sorry, guys. Okay. Here we go.
Nothing.
Come on, TV.
Oh, I'm sorry. This
There it
is
is. We
this
got
is
it.
an origin and overview.
Yeah, so this is where we really dive into what each cast of magic does here and how it works in the world of Zyathé, how people within the world view it. So you sort of get the overview, who uses it, the applications of it, like what can you use it for. So I felt it was pretty important to put that in so that people can really understand how each cast really affects life in Zyathé.
We have a question from the chat.
Ooh.
Yeah, they want to know, is there a lot of information duplicated from the Weirded World Cyclopedia?
Not exactly duplicated, but we do delve deeper into that because that was very much an overview, and this gets a lot more complex. Really dives into really like metaphysical stuff, like how the flows are built. Like instead of atoms, we have alums, which are I'm not going to pronounce this right. Isodecahedral little things that fit together and then build on that. So that's sort of like what the Eterniverse is made out of. So it gets quite deep.
Awesome. What do you think, AJ? Like about?
Yeah, well, yeah, it expands upon the brief overview we had in first volume, but yeah, it delves into how people all over Zyathé, relate to these different castes, and yeah, just lots more information on how spellcasters conceive of magic in the world.
Okay. Next, did you want to talk any more about the caste system, Kerri?
Well, the other thing I would say is it also gives kind of a historical context of how castes were decided upon in the world. So a couple of hundred years after the woe, a wizard named Imelda Van Corvius traveled around collecting all these spells that were kind of new, like they were cast in a new way, and like aggregated them and put them into the different castes. So it's a nice little tidbit there.
Okay. So next up, by the way, I fixed Kerri so she's like in the center of the frame because that was like driving me absolutely bonkers. So there we go. Okay. I love. So Adam contributed this essay.
Mm-hmm.
I love, by the way, Adam's portrait. I always think he looks so whimsical.
Yeah, I don't want to play favorites, but this is one of my favorite essays. And I remember it was pretty early on. We were at Genghis Khan and we had a little like chat about this and how to do it, and it came out so wonderfully. Just the language used and the perspective, it's really funny in my opinion. That's just why it's one of my favorites. And of course, every essay is wonderful. We have a lot of essayists. And also on the other side of this spread, it's the continuation of the casts there. So, yeah.
Awesome. AJ, did you want to add anything?
Yeah, it's a great read. You'll all enjoy it. It's a lot of fun. But
Okay. Next up, we have the Ethernic Wonders. And this actually ties into what we've been working on with our book club, because are these, there's 10 of them or 7 of them?
7.
Okay, I put that wrong in the newsletter. I promised 10 in the newsletter. It's only 7. I'm sorry, guys.
Yeah.
But yeah, so yeah, I would really love to hear like a nice discussion about the Ethernic Wonders, especially because we've been talking about this specific thing in our book club.
Mm-hmm. I mean, there's definitely stuff that's been mentioned in passing before. The sky ships, of course, and there's one that goes off into space, maybe. Of course, the flying cities. But there's a few new ones in there, which I think would be a good read. Like the Maroon built a city at the bottom of the sea, which didn't go well for them when the woe happened. I'll say that. But Alex, I know you like not like the Etherns, but you have opinions about the Etherns.
I do have opinions on the Etherns. I mean, their wonders were truly fantastic. And what truly kind of interests me, at least as a game master, is how those visits to those ancient wonders, essentially, in the future, maybe looking at what once was and now, what remains of these once great locations. I mean, it's kind of, a testament to what the world could have been if certain events didn't occur.
What about you, AJ?
Yeah, I like the Etherns quite a bit, and I think they have a really they present an interesting question to the people of Zyathé, and that their ruins and their relics that are left over are this glimpse of a world that was so much greater, but at the same time, it almost destroyed everything. And so you have this kind of tension within, the idea of magic itself. Is it worth delving into that? Is it worth trying to bring that back, or do we just kind of shun that and say, we can live a little bit more, grounded lives here and not risk getting, totally destroyed. So.
And I mean, not all their works or even acts were so great, right?
Right.
Yeah. So.
Right. They're definitely kind of a morally gray at best sort of group that, conquered the whole world. Right. So it's.
It's true.
So what? Okay, so like if you guys all had to pick one wonder that was from the Eternic civilization, that was your favorite achievement that they had, what would that be?
I mean, I really like the city at the bottom of the sea. I think that's really intriguing. I'd love like a deep underwater exploration adventure to go down there and see what, the people and creatures that turned into when that devastation occurred, and fight some sea monsters, explore ruins, that sort of thing. That intrigues me.
Okay. What about you guys? As you guys awkwardly look at each other.
I mean, it's a toss-up. It's hard.
It's hard to choose.
I really like the Great Skyship that maybe went to space or maybe didn't, but I've always been partial to flying cities. So, what about yourself?
Yeah, I've always had a soft spot for the Myroons, so I could definitely go for the underwater city. But I do love the flying cities just because it seems like it's just the peak of hubris. Like, why do you need a flying city?
Exactly.
Because we can.
Right?
Yeah, exactly. Because we can. But I mean, I do love the. Okay, first off, it makes great art. Let's just be honest here. So, I mean, is there any? Now that you bring it up, why do we need flying cities? Was there any specific reason they did that aside from?
Not really.
Like, is it for defense? Like, maybe for defense, like isolating yourself from the world, or?
I don't think we've delved too deep into the motivations of the Aetherns yet, still, but yeah, I think in most cases it was just these incredibly powerful mages just kind of showing off, showing what they could do, trying to beat the guy in the next tower over, sort of thing.
Oh yeah.
I mean, also based on what we've read, I mean, deductive reasoning says probably at some point they were used for defense because the Etherns hadn't conquered everything at some point.
Right.
But
when they were first starting out, they were up against massive forces of Arachnoids and the like, and other civilizations that weren't so keen on getting conquered and stuff. So
no, but I think as time went on, it became more of like a social status in class. There was a lot of class disparity in the Ethernic Empire.
Yeah.
Corey says they were Ethernic retirement communities.
Maybe.
It's a good idea.
I think of them more like gated communities,
Yeah.
like Beverly
I would
Hills or
think
somewhere
so.
like that.
Cruise
Yeah.
ship kind of thing.
Yeah, pretty
'Cause
much.
A lot of people did still live, down on the ground
Right.
either because they couldn't get up to the skyships, or even by choice because they were like, we're not buying into this, so we're going to stay down here. We're going to live that more humble, simple life, and we're not going to, end up all fancy pants like them up there. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Wow. Fancy pants like them up there.
Yep.
I love it. Yeah. Someone is, Pam says Snob Central.
Mm.
Yeah. So, anyway, okay. So, do you guys want to go to the next part, or do you guys want to spend more time on Ethernic civilization? What do you guys think about, like, even the Ventinium Alanax in general, like, as we are going through it for our book club?
Well, it's fascinating, of course, because I mean it's the history of the world, more of an overview. But I feel like there's a lot we could go deeper into throughout that whole thing.
Yeah. Well, I mean, AJ, you actually contributed to writing some of the history, correct?
Yeah, various parts throughout, between me and Alphinius, and so it's all kind of jumbled. But yeah, we've continued developing that history, and yeah, the Etherns are definitely an interesting part of it. But the civilizations that came before them were kind of set the groundwork for them, and they have some of their own interesting facets as well.
Yeah. What about you, Alexander?
Yeah, I mean, the Ventinium Alanax, just in general, I find fascinating. It kind of gives a a more like, or rather, the way I interpret it is this is how people in Zyathé understand the past, giving it a little bit flexibility. Now, I'm not sure if that's the intent it was written with, but that's how I tend to interpret it. Is that it was very much a in-world, kind of this is the general understanding of what occurred.
That's true. A lot of our stuff is sort of presented as not necessarily a scientific view of the history of this is exactly what happened. It's kind of more this is kind of what's generally accepted, what's thought to have happened, the stories that get passed down, sort of thing. So.
Well, one of the things that we talked about even on the stream was the fact that this written by any other group of people could have an entirely different what am I thinking?
Tone.
Thank you. Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. They can be the villains, or it just really depends on where your group was at the time. So I like the idea that it's flexible, that this isn't set in stone. This is what one person witnessed, really, and they wrote it down. But if you're viewing this from other people's perspectives, and even if you're not, here's the thing is, even if you're just reading it and then you think about the strife that other people might have encountered during this, if you just come at it with maybe this isn't just the one tale of this time, it can be very interesting to think that way. So awesome. Jim says, in a world where a hatless wizard rules all. Okay, so next up, let's go to the next slide here was one of my favorite arts. This is actually one of the arts that's outside my office, huge. But yeah, tell me about this.
What one are we on?
We will when we can see it.
When the TV
Oh,
goes.
I'm sorry. It is
Materializes from the Zyathé.
It is the art with the dwarf. And I'm really sorry, guys. We are having some tech issues in the office, which is why there's some delayed reactions from our panelists here. They're like, what? What are we talking about? I'll do my best to explain what's on the page. So yeah. This is that dwarf, that powerful dwarf.
Yeah, we can see it now.
Okay, awesome.
So this is from a section of the book that deals with how different cultures and races generally view magic. So you can see on this page, there's a few of the races on there, and it kind of which magics do they use most often, which don't they? Do they use magic at all? And of course, this is all generalizations because individuals will view things very differently. But if it's a fairly homogenous society of these people, this is usually how they view magic. But they can obviously diverge in your own game. You can do what you want. So, but this is just, and this artwork, I love this. This is something we're going to be playing around with in the future. It's a rune crafter, rune caster, rune master. So we'll be fiddling around with that in the future.
Okay. I honestly think that this art kind of looks a little bit like AJ with the epic, the epic beard. So what specifically do different cultures do different with magic, I guess? How different is it from each other?
Well, I mean, to take high elves as an example, they're very much into arcane magic. They really like pushing the boundaries of what arcane magic can do, but they'll still shy away from certain areas of necromancy or especially corruption. All the races pretty much are just corruption is not great for us. But dwarves really aren't so much into most kinds of magic unless it's religious kind of deific magics. They're really into their gods. So and the rune crafting is sort of the only dabbling into arcane that they really do. But at the same time, they're not really gonna if a sorcerer pops up, they're not gonna be like, oh, let's cast him out. No, that's useful. Don't throw away something that's useful. But they're not really seeking that kind of power out. And then gnomes, super into, technic artificentry and getting into that, causing a lot of explosions. So they all like their different areas of magic or don't like magic or, so that's kind of what we tried to get across there.
Okay. Do you have anything to add to that, you fellas over there?
Well, yeah, I mean, each one of them approaches it differently, and arguably maybe, the area of the world or the nation that people come from might affect more than their race necessarily. But the Sarth are obviously maybe one of the most noteworthy in that they're incapable of casting any arcane magic, but they don't really let that stop them. They've been driving the experimentation with flowstones for centuries and coming up with some really crazy stuff that way. And so, yeah.
Awesome. Okay, next up. Well, let me ask you before we move on. How do you guys even start to dive into what these different races? How do you guys come up with different ideas? And as writers, do you start outlining it? How do you decide what attributes each of the races have?
It kind of comes from a lot of different places. One of the ways we did was we kind of started with the gods, our big old pantheon of 72 gods, and thought about what contributions each of them had to the different races, and so that sort of informed what these races would be like. The Garund, have god of the mountains, god of ice. Some of these goddess of ice, these different gods had a hand in their creation, and so it's well, what kind of effect would that have on it? But we also, think, what kind of part of the world they're in, how their culture is going to develop from that. So lots of different influences.
Okay. Kerri, as part of the writing team, do you guys work together on these, or do you guys just kind of have individual races that you guys take? I know you are very affluent in the Fairy, for instance. But do you bounce ideas off Kim and AJ? Sorry, who's Kim? Alphinius and AJ. Or how do you guys all work together to decide what's best for the world?
So generally what happens is we'll work on a project individually, because it's just easy. It all comes out of your own head straight onto the page. But then ideas might be bounced, you show it to your fellow writers and they might be okay, I like this, but what if it was expanded upon by this? And so it all kind of comes together that way. It's honestly a lot of fun.
Awesome.
Because it just makes it better,
Whenever Kerri says that she's having a good time, I just sigh with relief. I'm oh, good. Oh, good. Okay. Okay, next up we have, let's see here. These are the flow stones, which I believe we already start in Cyclo 1 with. But what does this do differently from Cyclo 1?
It's definitely expanded upon, but I didn't have much to do with flowstones personally, so that's going to be an AJ.
We're going to throw this over to AJ. Yeah. Let me go ahead and just take this off so we can actually look at AJ while he's talking. Hold on. Oh, where did you go?
And Alexander helped too in the beginning of that. So
they're complicated enough that a lot of people had a hand in helping sort them out. But
well, I think they're one of the more original things that actually comes from Gooey Cube. When we even talk about it with people at conventions and stuff like that, that's the thing I find a lot of people are fixated on is flowstones.
Yeah, they're definitely, as Alphinius likes to say, something that grew in the telling. They started as a fairly minor sort of idea back in chapter 1, just a cool little magic item. Oh, what if the magic of a particular cast sort of coalesced or something, and then they just kept developing, and now in this we're finally giving them a full treatment. We give much expanded tables for examples of different flowstone effects, although again they're so varied and diverse that you can, as a GM, come up with plenty more, of course. And we also go into all the details for flowstone cores, and I will touch on this again later with the classes and stuff, but how to craft flowstone cores and how those work with fusils and technic artificery and everything. So.
Also, Alexander, when you expand on this, I'm curious as like a GM, how many or how you would allow flowstones to be introduced to your table, and like how common they would be. How would you adapt it for your table?
We kind of, one of the things that we initially did was try to figure out, and I think you remember this, AJ, is try to figure out really how they work and how they were formed, so we have a better understanding of like where they are, where they're going to be, where you can find them. And flowstones are kind of meant to be one of these things where if they're raw, they're dangerous. So, you know, they kind of give off corruption, magical radiation in a sense. But other than that, they function similarly to enchantments in the ways that they've appeared in the chapters so far. So it's sort of, you know, an enchantment that you can place on an item that you already possess. But Magicka really expands on it, as AJ was touching on. We give them a lot more uses. You know, we have the flowstone cores, which kind of allow you to redirect that energy. And we have a couple of other flowstone tools or even weapons, I'd say. I think that's fair. That, you know, have kind of grown out of flowstones in general. So, you know, if I have one of those new classes in there that requires flowstones, well, they're going to be in my game because they have to be. So, but in general, I'd say treat it like any other magic item. You know, give them out to your discretion. You can vary the power level. We give you a whole lot of options on what you can do to adjust their effects and their relative strength.
That's awesome that you guys. It's kind of the same way that we do, like even combat in chapters, where it's like you can make it difficult, you can make it easier, correct? And then that way, because I know some people are like, well, flowstones are too powerful in my game, or they're not powerful enough, and that way you can adjust them for what your table needs. So, do you guys? I mean, I'm sure that there might be a thing coming up here. Do you guys also talk about like fusiliers?
Oh yeah.
Oh yes, the class has, you know, all its details down in the classes section.
we have a spread from that coming up.
Sweet.
Oh, awesome. Okay, well, we'll dive into that. I'm pulling up the next spread. Here we go.
Yes.
Yeah, I know. This art, too, is just, like, so phenomenal. Okay, so what are we on here?
Magic items.
Magic items.
Yes. We have had a lot of contributions for this chapter. You can see a couple of them there with Meko's mechanical lockpick and the map of Discovery. I think that's what that says, yes. But we have like just so many that have gone in there. We fit them all in. Some of them were adjusted slightly, just to balance them or just for readability. But no, and this artwork is just phenomenal. It's one of my favorite pieces in the book, just because, I mean, Magicka's, we're trying to like cover not just Vedestia, which we've explored so far, but like the rest of the world. We've tried to include as much of that as possible. So, so this guy is not from Vedestia. I believe he's from Australia.
Probably Australia.
Yeah. That sounds about right.
But he's got this awesome sand golem. And if you look, we've got a waxen golem up there as well. You make golems out of pretty much everything. This dude decided to do it out of sand.
So you got all these submissions in, and just from like I'm just curious how you handle when you get all these submissions in. How do you go through and edit them and figure out which ones are going to definitely work with the world as we have it written versus how many need to be adapted to fit into Zyathé so we don't break everything?
Well, I mean, we tried to pretty much take them as we got them. People were very, very good with these submissions. They really fit straight away. But when we got them, they went through a number of different people to make sure that they got balanced. I had a look. I'm not the greatest at mechanical fixes, but I mean, AJ, you had a good look.
Yeah. We try to preserve the core idea of the item. And if we make a change, it's making sure a number's right, just that it's according to 5e rules, that it'll function as intended. But we try to preserve the spirit of the item.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, and there's definitely some, obviously, of course, reformatting with text and kind of rewriting it. 5e kind of has a way that, things are written in. But yeah.
Awesome. Okay, so next up we have, I believe this is the page of pistol, flowlock. Yeah, this is the Fusilier.
Yeah.
This is the descriptions.
Fusels. Yeah. So this is, again, still in magical items. So we put fusels and this is all AJ. AJ did this, the fusels and stuff. So
Okay, let's.
So Fusiliers are obviously the premier users of fusels, but they're definitely not the only people who can use them. And so we have rules for a wide variety of fusels now, including in this magic item section some magically enchanted fusels that work differently. So everyone can kind of have some fun with that.
Absolutely. I mean, even here there's a spread. This is about cores, glowstone cores, and so those are what you put into the fusels, right, to power them.
Yeah.
Yep. As well as into Technic machinations. And this is, the unusual cores. So cores, too, can have their own strange effects. And so these are kind of your magic item cores, if you will, that might occasionally come up that make them work a bit differently. And
Okay. So how many different types of cores can you use? And are they rated on how powerful they are? So if they're more powerful, there's less of them in the world. If they're less powerful, there's more of them. How do you guys balance all that?
So broadly, there's two main types of cores. There's fusel cores and power cores, which are for fusels and machinations, respectively. And they are rated by level 1 to 9, a lot like spells or anything like that. And we have rules for crafting cores for the artificers so that they can make those. And cores do tend to wear out over time, and they can be repaired and fixed up. But obviously the more powerful a core is, the more expensive, the more difficult it is to successfully create. So
Absolutely.
Now, AJ, I have a question. So is it the core, the mechanism around the flowstone that's running out, or is it the flowstone itself?
So it's the in a core is flowstone dust, essentially left over from the mining of flowstones or shaping them, and it's they may not artificers may probably argue it over themselves, what exactly is going on in there.
And what they have to repair.
They're trying to replicate Ethernic technology sort of and sort of develop their own thing as well. But the dust in there kind of doesn't retain the magical energy as well over time, and the casing, the hold of the core is going to degrade over time, trying to contain that kind of energy. So
absolutely.
Okay. So next up we have magic schools.
yeah, it's one of my favorite chapters, actually.
Well, tell us about it then.
Right. So, I mean, you're an aspiring spellcaster. How are you gonna learn your spells? Are you gonna?
Wait. Are these? I'm seeing the word college up there. So are we talking schools of magic, or are we talking about magic schools like Hogwarts?
more like
Yes.
Hogwarts. Yes.
Oh, okay. All of it. Okay.
Okay. Yeah, so, institutions of magical learning, which might be a college, might be a university, or it could be, I think we have the cult of the ice dragon there. You could join a cult and learn magic. And there's all sorts of other ways as well, like...
Are churches included in there?
Yeah, we have some of those. I think there might be one on there at the very beginning.
If I remember correctly, I think both arcane and divine are covered.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely, and bardic colleges. There's a druid circle in there. I think we've covered, places where every class can go: paladins, rangers.
What about this do you love so much? Like, it's one of your favorites. Is it because you get to kind of play in the whimsy, or is it like actually just like figuring out different types of schools is like really cool? Or like what is it that really draws you to it?
It sparked my imagination like a lot, just thinking, all right, so if I want to learn this type of magic, where can I go? What is that gonna look like for me? Like, what is my environment gonna be like? Is it a big university like Darkenhaven, where you can learn just every different thing? Like they have a bardic school in there and a technic artificery workshop, as well as you can learn all the casts of magic there. Or am I going to go to something more like Eratalva, which is like this private school where like only the children of alumni are really going there, and it's kind of a high pressure environment, so you just get to really stretch your imagination, just thinking of these different environments and different pressures that you might be under, and of course not just the arcane schools, but the churches. Like, they have like these huge temple compounds, or is it just a little church? You're just gonna be a little acolyte in a little church. So it's a lot of fun.
You're just so delightful, Kerri.
Oh my gosh.
I love you talking about education.
I just get so excited.
I know.
I forget to breathe.
I can tell. I just love that you love this so much. Okay. Well, AJ, did you contribute anything to magic schools, or?
Yeah, I worked on that a bit. I like this section because it's kind of like we were talking about before. It continues to expand on talking about magic outside of Verdestia. We talk about some schools in some of the other continents, and just how differently different people approach magic. Not just what you think of the stereotypical wizards and sorcerers and stuff, but kind of how other cultures would approach that sort of thing. And of course the fun of thinking of a campaign that's kind of a Harry Potter inspired one, playing as young inductees into the arts of magic, and how that would play out is just fun.
That's awesome. Maybe one day we'll get a movie.
There you go.
Maybe.
Just saying.
Maybe start with a book.
Yeah, I know. Exactly. Oh, that would be so much fun.
Oh my
Can you even
gosh.
imagine?
I would love
Kerri,
to do a book.
Kerri, start writing. Just do
I
it.
would
Imagine
love
like
to.
it's like a collegiate guide for aspiring mages, right?
Yeah.
Where it like talks about the perks of the different ones.
Yeah, absolutely. This is a beautiful, by the way, picture of Darkenhaven University. We don't have to dive too much into it, but
No, it's got a fun little caption though. Like these schools, you can throw little quirks in here. Like the people who go to Darkenhaven University call it DU, and then they have this little club that they go to as well, which I can't remember what the acronym is, and the writing is too tiny, but it might be like something like DUGS.
yeah, I see Doug's.
Yeah,
DUGS.
DUGS. Like that's what the alumni call them.
I love it.
So DUGS.
Okay, so we have 5 more minutes left and like 8 or like 10 more slides. I'm so sorry. I'm not sure we're gonna be able to get to all of it today. Yeah, so we'll go
Time is
fast.
flying.
I know it does. I know when you're on here. Okay, so this is a Gary Wicker's character.
Yeah.
And
Zappo.
Zappo. I
Yeah.
know. I love Zappo. So what is his contribution?
So this section is talking about like persistent magical sites around the world. So you got like Wamdeath Chasm in there. There's Life Inspire, things like that. There's one called the Flow Mount, and this is his story of growing into the Flow Mount, which has a lot of flow stones, like raw flow stones. So
When we say flow mount, are we talking like a horse? Or what are we talking about?
More like a mountain.
mountain.
Yeah, a little
Okay.
bit more mountain than horse.
I was like, flow mount. I was like imagining him mounted on
Not a bad idea.
a freaking horse of like. I'm just saying that would be.
Well,
terrifying.
when we get to Artificer,
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is his a little journey that he goes into this horrible, deadly place.
I love it. Okay, so this is notable skill casters, and so this kind of Alphinius Goo. I see
Yes.
his name right there.
I got to write his entry, so I got to poke fun at him.
Is there something about hats in there?
Yes, there's something about hats and his refusal to wear a hat.
Okay, I love it.
Very unwizard-like.
Yeah.
but yeah, this chapter deals with people that you might just like run into that can cast magic. We've put all of our essayists in here, as well as a few others, and of course just some ones that we wrote up.
Okay. I'm just gonna keep going. I'm sorry. We're
Right.
going fast. If you guys want to, you guys
Sounds good.
throw something out there. If you guys have something to say. Okay. So this is.
This is actually one of my favorite sections. I have a lot, but this.
I'm glad that you still like it after how much you've had to edit
It's
it.
been 2 years. But no, this is my favorite just because it talks about the origins of the classes, and a lot of these are not just pre-WoW, but pre-Nether War, God's War. So you, like clerics, that talks about, where did clerics come from? It's just like somebody started worshipping a deity and suddenly got magic. That's not quite, I mean, it gets a little bit more detailed, but so you get all these fun kind of prehistory snippets that I tried to put in there, and it walks you, through the history of them and talks about like how they cast magic and how they fit into the world. So that's that chapter.
Okay. Anything to add, guys?
Keep going.
Okay, we're gonna go.
We're gonna get to the end.
Okay. This is magical classes.
Yes, I think people are very excited to see this because this table over here details all of our new classes that are coming and our new archetypes. As you can see, we've got a lot.
There are a lot.
Yeah, the new classes:
There's-
Agent, Court Mage, Flowcaster, Fusilier, Technic Artificer, and Zyathé Chancer. I'm not going to read through all the archetypes. There's too many, but
I believe we have one for every class, even the ones who aren't traditionally, a magic class.
right, we even have a
So
monk
there's-
in there.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
Magic Barbarian.
Yeah.
Okay. This is the Flowcaster.
Mhm. Yeah, this is from the Flowcaster section. This artwork, again,
Quite the
beautiful.
Yeah. Okay, we're just gonna show some like really cool spreads here.
Yeah.
My favorite art piece.
Fusilier.
There. Yeah.
That's my favorite
His,
art piece, I think.
tattooed mustache.
No, I love it. It's great.
Technic Artificer.
Yeah.
Got this big, I think he's called a brute.
I want to say it's really important that our community feeds into this. This image, like we bought it off of a Shutterstock thing and like did a paint over on it. But David Stormer sent us an email saying, this actually looks exactly like a character from this other thing. And I went and I looked it up, and like Adam, my husband, was like, yeah, that's not it. And so David helped us know, like, just because he watched that 30-minute video of Alphinius showing everything, he was able to immensely help us making sure that our art is more Gooey Cube. And because sometimes we do, a lot of the art is original and it's just out of Alphinius's head and through our artists, but we do buy stuff off of stock websites and then repaint them to make them more Zyathé. So that was super helpful.
Oh, yeah. Zyathé Chancer. This one I wrote a long time ago, and it was just the Chancer when I wrote it. But we Zyatha'd it up with different archetypes. There's one for each of the sort of elemental races. So there's the Aqua Asun for the Maroon, Spirit Singers for the Garooned, and Aeromancers for Aetherians. So some cool elemental stuff if you're into that.
Yeah. We're going to just finish up these last few slides. We are at 11 o'clock, so if you guys want to hang around, we'd love to have you, but we're going to finish this up so that way when it's on YouTube in perpetuity, we have finished our discussion. So here we are. This is the Life of Magic, or Life of Magic.
Yeah. So we have like new backgrounds here. We also have feats just off of the backgrounds, just stuff to make your character feel more like it's fitting into Zyathé. The backgrounds are kind of magic themed, of course, and a lot of them are tied to the new classes. And so are the feats. We have like Fusilier feats. If you didn't want to be a Fusilier, you could take a feat to pick up a Fusel. So
I'm excited to read these. I don't often play spellcasters, but I know how much backgrounds help build up a character and help you kind of think about them in these different ways. So what is your favorite background? What would you play if you were playing some kind of spellcaster?
there's a fortune teller in there, so
Ooh.
that's always fun. I love my tarot cards and things like that. So
Yeah. What about you guys?
It has been a little while since I looked at the backgrounds, but I think there's a Fusilier initiate sort of thing where you aren't a full Fusilier yet, but you've acquired a Fusil by means fair or foul, and are starting to experiment with it. So,
yeah, for me, it's I've been thinking of a Flowstone prospector, actually. Someone who kind of like, is digging down deep in the mines. I like that one piece of art we have where it's the dwarf with the drill.
Oh, Jan's picture, yeah.
So that kind of got me thinking of, hey, it'd be kind of cool to play someone who digs up, Flowstone since it's so dangerous to mine.
Yeah. Okay, next up, spell list.
Yes, this is insane. This goes on to 4 pages. So
4 pages of new spells.
new spells and
listing the new spells, many more pages.
Yeah.
Detailing the spells.
yeah, this is just the summary that covers 4 pages, like the list.
I think that there's another one here.
Yeah, so there you go. 3 and a bit pages, but
I see lots of Alphinius spells.
there are a lot of Alphinius spells. There's also a lot of Zigzgra Moose spells. Zixi.
Yeah.
Because there are a lot of contributed, but no, a lot of these are contributed. A number of them needed some reworks, but we tried to keep the spirit of the spell. So,
Yeah, we know that you guys all send in really powerful spells because you guys want to, like at level 2, be able to do 60, 10 damage, but got to tone it down a little bit for Zyathé. We don't break the world.
Yeah, it was involved to balance that, but
Yeah.
it was a fun challenge.
that is what took the most time, I believe, is balancing the spells. Just because there's so many spells.
I don't know. A lot of things took a lot of time.
That's true. That's definitely what I spent the most time on in Magic.
Yeah.
Classes
And
took
I
quite a
spent
bit
quite a
too.
bit of
we
time.
had
spells were-
we had what 6, 7 people go over the spells.
Oh, at least, yeah.
Yeah, and I
Something
think I went
like
through
that.
it 3 times, and then I know I went
I've
over
been
the
through it.
classes twice. So.
Yeah, we've
So-
all been through them.
Like the specific challenges of them were balancing them. Is that what it was?
And wording.
It's not just balancing. Well, the wording is kind of straightforward because if you can find a spell that does something somewhat similar to the effect, you can figure out the wording that it should be. But it was also figuring out, because there were a number of spells that were submitted that were very similar or already very similar to spells that already existed. So figuring out how to keep that and also have something unique. The balancing wasn't so bad, but sometimes it can be difficult when you're kind of judging how strong something is. Generally, we'll find spells that are relatively similar that already exist from, core, and then kind of use that as a sounding board to kind of massage it towards a more balanced state.
Yeah, I will say if somebody contributed a spell and they don't find it in there, it's just because it was so similar to something else that somebody contributed to. So we might have combined them in some cases. So there's not much we can do. So.
Dozens and dozens of spells. I think we did include vast majority. Got their own entry there. So.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Okay. We're almost done here with our slides. We have, I think, 4 more. Obviously, we love this art. Actually, we're giving it away as a prize.
Yes. So this is from our appendix on warlocks. Much to Alphinius's chagrin, we have warlocks in the book. And I do want to give a shout out to Jim Hips because he created a lot of patrons, and a lot of those I converted. These fiends I converted from his work, and there's an undead patrician as well. That was his. So thank you, Jim.
Next up, oh my God, this is like my favorite Gooey Cube art of all time.
It's great.
So cute. Sorry, me and Kerri have a very similar aesthetic
We
in
do.
terms of what we enjoy to play. So this is why I was telling Kerri is like I really appreciate that she brings a lot of like cute magic to the world because that is of course what I want to like play in. Don't get me wrong, the undead are fabulous, Alexander.
Someone's got to fix the world.
I want to look pretty. I want to look pretty and play pretty.
Yes.
So yes, I love this.
Yeah, we have a number of familiars that we put in. We've got sort of normal wizard familiars on a sort of level with a cat or a bat. So we've We've got a flying one. There's the hummingbird. We've got a hazen hare that's quite speedy. We've also got a dune slug. If you're playing in the Zion dune, and it's pretty gross, but you do you. We have packed familiars as well. One for each lawful, neutral, chaotic alignment, I believe we did, and then a couple of others. We've got a Gooey Cube in there, of course, and then we have some more advanced familiars. So if you didn't want the standard wizard kind of ones, you wanted something a bit stronger at a higher level, then you can do that. So and this is where the fairy wing here comes from.
Okay.
Alphinius has a different name for that I can't remember.
Okay, so this is...
Fractal magic.
Tell me about fractal magic.
So in other settings, there's wild magic. We can't really use that because it's kind of the name of a sorcerer. So, and for legal reasons, we called it fractal magic. And it's just sort of from the effect of what the woe had on the flow. It messed it up. It's twisted. It curls around some of the alums. You know, there's little atom alum things get all muddled, and sometimes when you cast a spell, the flow goes there and does something completely random, like turn you into a rabbit or whatever. so that's pretty fun.
Do you guys have like a table of random effects?
Yeah. You can see the end of it right there. It's a D100 with 100 effects. So that was a lot of fun to make. Alex contributed.
I did.
Now tell us about what were your few favorite contributions to the table?
I'm trying to remember what. I've written a lot of wild, wacky magical effects, and I'm trying to remember which ones Kerri actually took, because I definitely wrote over 100 of them.
I can't remember.
So just know that Kerri edits her own husband.
Exactly.
So it's not personal. Yeah.
No, not by any means. I mean, some of them are some of the more wacky ones would be like, you suddenly are wanted for murder. Or ones where at some point the nearest bailiff has decided that you have stolen his the key to his lockbox, or
there's something like that in there.
Yeah, or your hair catches fire but doesn't actually burn anything. You can't see anything. You're forced to walk on your hands for the next, X amount of hours.
I'm pretty sure that one went in there.
It's just wild stuff like that.
Yeah,
that really will kind of throw you for a loop.
Ooh.
Some of them are not even mechanical.
My favorite one. So Smedley just pops out of thin air.
I remember this one, yeah.
Because, this annoying little boy just pops out in the middle of battle. But if he gets harmed or killed or whatever, if you find him later, he's completely fine. He doesn't remember any of this. So is it a copy?
So
who knows?
What's going on
fans of Smedley, the cult following of Smedley is going to be so excited that they have the potential of meeting Smedley. Yeah, that is amazing.
If they get the right roll on a D100.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so last up, I believe, is corrupted tables, and I know we already talked about these a little bit with Kim, but let's get your guys' perspectives.
Yeah. So, I mean, corruption can show up in various places, most notably like crooks or places like that where it's just like the land is very, very tainted. You might go wandering in there, and after a time you might get like infected with corruption, or maybe a corrupted mage casts something on you and you get a little messed up that way, stuff like that. But that's when you would roll on these tables.
Pam says maybe you become Smedley on the corrupted table.
maybe for like chaos.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's two tables here. One of them is minor aberrations. Aberration is a type of creature as well, but they're corrupted. So the minor aberration table is going to be stuff that affects you maybe socially, like you grow spines or something, and it's people will look at you like, do you have a weird blood touch or something? But then we have a major aberration table on the next page. We don't have the spread for that here, but it's stuff that might affect you mechanically. And we tell GMs use this appropriately, because sometimes players don't really like being affected mechanically that way. Like not being able to use your hand to cast spells or something, it can really affect a character. So you've got to be kind of cautious how you use these, I'd say. But I mean, you can cure them. It's just you need a wish spell or something.
You can acquire them through using corruption magic.
Sure,
Like,
absolutely.
By encountering it, it's not great.
Yeah. I mean, when we make Corruptica, we'll have classes that cast corruption in there, and after a time, they'll be rolling on these tables. They can end up pretty impacted, I would say.
Yeah, it's magic is so big that it's just a little appendix here, but we'll definitely be covering corruption magic more in the next magic volume like we do. So
Magic 2.
Awesome.
The sequel.
Oh God.
Kerri's like, I am not working on that.
Hopefully
I
it
will,
doesn't take
but-
the same
Okay.
time.
Please not another 2 years.
Okay. Well, before we wrap up, I just want to say, what is your most challenging thing about Magicka, and what is your most rewarding thing about Magicka, and then we'll wrap it up.
Most challenging thing was just how technically complex the book was, because Cyclos 2 and 3 I've worked on, and that's all lore. I'm very comfortable with that. But here we have items and classes and spells, and I'm not the best at that. So that was very challenging for me to work with. But I mean, the rewarding thing is the book itself. Like I've been there since its genesis. I wrote the content outline and what would go in each chapter, and I've been with it through everything. It's like my baby. So it's just rewarding to have it coming out maybe next week.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I'm going to throw this question to you, Alexander, except I'm going to switch it up, because you recently started working at our marketing office and with Gooey Cube. So what is the most challenging thing about working with us? Be careful with what you say. But also, what is the most rewarding
Yeah, I was
thing?
going to say, I want to keep my job.
Yeah.
So, the challenging part is being realistic, I guess, about time. We have a lot of obligations, and I mean a lot of obligations, especially at the marketing agency. So getting time, for example, to work on Gooey Cube is something we have to work relatively
I'm really
hard
glad
to
that
get
you're
to.
affirming this, because I say it all the time in the show, and it's good to hear someone else say it.
Look, we have
it's a
to
balancing
plan
act.
more than a week ahead of time to be able to safely allocate time to Gooey Cube without neglecting other responsibilities.
Yes.
And sometimes even then it ends up being for naught, because some other higher priority task takes precedent. So it's not having the ability to work on, or the time to work on Gooey Cube is mainly the challenge. Other than that, though, I mean, it's a lot of fun. It's definitely a great experience to work on Gooey Cube. Mostly, I've been working somewhat on the website side lately, so I won't say much. But thinking of features we can add to it and other tools that would be useful are definitely things that I'm thinking over. Kim mentioned a map last week. I won't go any more into detail than that, but that's definitely something that we're thinking over, and just other ways that we can engage the audience and give people things that are useful for them. So.
And what about you, AJ?
For
Gooey Cube.
Gooey Cube.
Yes.
In general. Yeah, I as far as difficult, hard to say. I guess trying to figure out when we do new systems like flowstones and stuff, is a little daunting. That we're trying to add something into such a beloved rule set, right? That's at the same kind of level. But it's so great to see how big the world's gotten, how many people are so involved in it and have contributed to it, and what a fascinating setting we've built. So
Awesome. Well, I'm going to wrap us up. Thank you all so much for joining us for this special edition of Goo Morning Zyathé. I think this is the first one we've ever done with Alphinius, and I want to say thank you all so much for having such a great discussion about Magicka and coming on the show. Thank you so much to Martin Schroer for making such a beautiful Black Bonnie music piece. It should be up on YouTube right now. I believe I set it as a premiere for 11 a.m. Please, please, please go like and comment on that video. It helps us so much with the algorithms, and Martin really deserves it for the amazing work he's done with Gooey Cube. And remember that you can find Martin at D20 Sounds. The music for Zyathé is available for sale. It's very inexpensive, and you get a great piece of music. You can also become a patron of Martin on Patreon, and you get access to huge music libraries. It's an awesome deal. And with that, I'm going to say good afternoon, or good, I don't know, I failed. Oh, wait, I know. Wait, what did I
Goodbye.
May all your adventures be sticky.
I know. What was I thinking? What was I thinking, guys? May all your
Try that
adventures...
one more time.
Yeah, why don't we all say it together?
Right.
May all
Your
adventures be
always be
sticky.
sticky.
Okay. Yeah, that was lame. Bye.
Bye.
I know, we got it wrong.